welcome back. Uh, I was just gonna make a video about where I most recently was. I went to a convention called Crimecon, and it's basically like a true crime school, if you will. It's a 3-day thing. They do it annually. It's in different places throughout the U.S. Just to give kind of like an overview of what it actually is. So I'm just reading this on the internet. So Crimecon is an immersive weekend-long event that is the world's largest gathering of fans of true crime, mystery, and the genre's creators. The conference brings together podcasters, TV show producers, law enforcement experts, victims advocates, and enthusiasts to discuss the latest cases, advanced scientific techniques, and social issues surrounding crime. Attendees can enjoy educational sessions, panel discussions with well-known personalities, and unique experiences that explore different aspects of the true crime world, from wrongful convictions to forensic science and cold cases. So that just kind of gives you a highlight of what it is. So this year it was in Denver. It was my first time to Denver. I really didn't get to see much of it, and incidentally, there was wildfires on the other side of Denver, which made it really smoky and hazy, and we never actually saw the Rocky Mountains, and we were supposed to have some grand spectacular view from the hotel, but we did not see that. But anyway, this is the schedule that we had. So you had Friday, Saturday, and then it went on to Sunday. But each one of these is a different hour of sessions in different places. But there were some really cool people there this year. The last couple of years, I've seen a couple of my favorite forensic pathologists that I've seen on TV, and got them to sign a book or whatever. But so the first year was in Las Vegas, and it was really cool. That year, Dr. Cyril Wecht was there, and he actually had a book. He did a session about the Kennedy assassination, and he had this book, which had been out for a little while at the time, but I got him to sign it, which was really cool. But he did a session on the Kennedy assassination and why the single bullet theory is incorrect, and so he did like a whole demonstration of that. The man was 91 at the time and just still sharp as a tack, but he was well respected within the forensic world. He just passed away a couple of years ago, but anyway, I really enjoyed that, and it was a really cool experience. The next year, which was in Orlando, see, I got some signatures there. That's a really cool place that a lot of people like to get, autographs from. But Dr. Michael Baden was there. He is also well known for his work within the forensic pathology. He had a series on HBO that he did years ago called Autopsy that was really interesting, and kind of a deep dive into that, if you're into that kind of stuff. But he was really fascinating. He was there with his wife, Linda Kinney Baden. I think she's affiliated with the Law and Crime Network. But anyway, he had his book, which had just come out at that time, which this is really interesting. It highlights like 5 or 6 or maybe more cases that he worked on over his career. He was not there this year, but I think the man is 87 or 88. Not sure, but maybe he had scheduling conflicts or whatever. But he gave some really interesting talks on things that he had done in his career. And then the next year was Nashville. That was the first year we were able to drive too. So we had a car. And so we got to go into Nashville in the evenings, or mainly for breakfast, to get food there. The food at the hotel was ridiculously expensive. The last 2 years, this year included, they did it at some of the Gaylord properties. So Gaylord Opryland, and then this year was at Gaylord Rockies, which was a brand new Gaylord facility. It's incredible, but it is also incredibly expensive. We had a group rate, which was still a little pricier than the previous years, but it's an incredible property. I'll just leave it at that. But and then so that was this year's badge. and it was a lot of fun. I'm glad I went. Next year's convention is going to be in Las Vegas again, which will be really cool. They're hosting it at Caesar's Palace, which is really expensive. So I'm personally looking for some alternative hotels. So if y'all have any suggestions that are close within walking distance of Caesar's Palace, I would love to hear it. But anyway, I created like a little slideshow type thing of this trip because I took 0 videos of the trip this time. But I'll do a little voiceover kind of explaining what you're seeing. And anyway, so I hope you enjoy. And if you're into things like Crimecon, check it out on the internet. I think badges go on sale here in about a week. So I always do the standard level. For me, I don't need the extra fluff. And plus it's like a ridiculous, well, not ridiculous, but it's a pretty heavy price increase as you go up in levels. So I'm satisfied with the standard level badge. I get to see the things I want to see. And so I'm pretty cool with that. Unless I hit the lottery, then I might do higher levels, but other than that. But anyway, here's the slideshow. Hope you enjoy. Here is our airplane at the Atlanta airport. This is a little short video going through the airport, down the escalators to our gate. Here is our gate. Here's one of my favorite pictures to take from an airplane. My favorite cookies on my favorite airline. And then a view from the airplane, you could see these wind turbines. It was really cool. I think we were over Kansas. And then some of the circles, I found out that those are from irrigation techniques. Here was our elevation once we got to Denver. Here was the entrance to the convention and the convention center at the Gaylord Rockies. And then we went to dinner at this place called Mountain Pass Sports Bar. We ate there a couple of times, but this was the largest little bay of screens that I've seen in an eating establishment. They had football on, and those who know me know that I don't care about football, but it was pretty cool. We had to make a trip to the grocery store to get snacks because some food was expensive at the hotel, but this is King Soopers. I had to go there and save my receipts for my son because he's obsessed with grocery stores because I work at a grocery store. We did see this little bird. It was a western wood pewee, I think is how you say that, but they don't live around Georgia, so it was cool to see that. This was one of the first sessions that we went to. It was an active shooter thing, and it was a training technique that they use in like this fully immersive like video experience, and it helps the officers get prepared and how to deal with an active shooter situation. It was really cool. This was our view from our hotel. We were supposed to be able to see the Rocky Mountains, but we could not for the smoke. Here's my bathroom picture that I always take down the hallway at the hotel. The window was very dirty, so I just wanted to show that. This was the atrium in the hotel. You're supposed to be able to see the Rocky Mountains through there too, but we could not. This was a building around the area. If anybody knows what that is, I'd love to know. We did go to Coors Field to watch a Rockies game. It was really cool. The Rockies won. They were playing San Diego. We found some really cheap tickets, and I ended up dropping a hot dog on my pants. So that was the only pair of pants I brought. Those were our seats. They were like $10 tickets, so it was really cool. This was the marketplace at the Gaylord. If you look in the top right, the oatmeal was $10. This was a nighttime view. Denver, that's looking out towards Denver. I did make it to the gym in the morning, and it was really nice. They had a bay of Peloton bikes, if you're into that. This was a session with John Ramsey. Those of you familiar with the JonBenet Ramsey case, he gave a talk about that and some of the progress that they're making in that. There's a new people in the Boulder police, so hopefully they'll make some progress. This was a demonstration of some of the police dogs there. This was one of the pups that was there. I don't remember his name. He was cute.
This was one of the food trucks. This was the line that I was in. This was a place called the Pierogies Factory. I think they have a place in Denver, and that was what I got, pierogies and a kielbasa. It was really good. This was a session with John Walsh and his son Callahan Walsh, and they were talking about some of the work that they do in helping with trafficking of children, and it was really interesting. There's the button for the next location of Crimecon. And while I was at Crimecon, my company was doing their 95th anniversary celebration at home in Georgia, so I brought my shirt so I could celebrate from afar. We went on a walk the next morning, and we saw these rabbits. It was cool, and kind of a cool sunrise. This was around, that's the Gaylord property itself. It was massive and really pretty, but it was really cool. There was a McDonald's in the airport. I'm not sure why I took a picture of that, but there you go. Here's my favorite view from the seatback entertainment on the airplane. That was pretty cool. And then once we landed, like as soon as we got to the gate, this guy stood up and just stood in the aisle. So don't be that guy. You know, everybody's going to take their turn to get off. And this was allegedly the view we were supposed to have. But anyway, there you go.